sought to table that document. Is there any objection?
Yes, also on the test.
Oh, there is objection. Question number 2, Paul Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asked, how is the government's economic program helping to build sustainable growth and higher incomes?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the government is taking a number of measures to support sustainable growth. In particular, it is continuing with a very large-scale infrastructure investment program, despite the fact that money is tight, because we believe that is important for our future growth prospects. And another example is the extensive work it's doing in tidying up the skills and training system to make it more effective and actually train people in real skills needed for the economy, because we believe that is a substantial investment in our future growth prospects.
Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, what measures is the government taking to support jobs and grow the economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the important thing about jobs is that they only happen when businesses have the confidence to invest a bit more money, to employ another person and to pay them a better wage. So the government has worked on reducing the tax on work, at the same time as raising taxes on property speculation. We've also worked hard to reduce the kind of regulations that prevent businesses having the confidence to get started and to grow. In particular, the 90-day trial period has been a very successful innovation, opposed by the opposition but supported by everyone else in New Zealand, at enabling people on the margins of the workforce to get their foot in the door and actually get a job.
Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, how did the budget last month contribute to the government's long-term program to build a more competitive economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the budget contributed by allocating significant resources to just those areas that I have already mentioned. For instance, there is a continued commitment to the infrastructure process, including the $4.5 billion turnaround of Kiwi Rail, the $1.5 billion rollout of broadband, and in the budget we also committed significant further investment to science and innovation, because we believe that is a long-term investment that will help to grow our economy.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Parker.
Has the Minister seen a commentary from the ANZ today that says the economy is, and I quote, moving into the danger zone? And what is it about reduced growth projections, ballooning debt, and a current account deficit approaching 5% of GDP at a time of an economic slowdown that encourages him to come into this House and claim his policies are working?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the government has to take a view of the economy that enables it to support the economy in the shorter term. So the deficit that the member referred to are in fact the government borrowing money to support New Zealand households through difficult times. And as we've said in this House many times, while we're borrowing now, we plan to close that gap up and reach surplus in 2 or 3 years' time. At the same time, we are acting, as I just outlined in the last set of questions, on long-term undertakings to lift the growth potential of this economy. The member, like others, may find that the news of the day makes him a bit more pessimistic. However, we have fundamental confidence in the longer term in New Zealand's capacity to grow.
The Honourable David Parker.
If he won't accept the ANZ's advice that we're moving into the danger zone, does he accept the BNZ's summation of today's announcement that the surging deficit threatens New Zealand's interest, with a current account deficit rising to a 3-year high, much worse to come, and they say it threatens New Zealand's sovereign rating?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't think the BNZ is nearly as alarmed as it was at the 8% current account deficit, almost double today's current account deficit that we inherited from the Labor Party, and they incurred that in the 10 of the best years the global economy has ever seen.
The Honourable David Parker.
Is the Minister so out of touch that even after this appalling news and those dire predictions from our two largest banks that he really thinks he is still sticking with a plan that is working?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, banks and officials are going to make forecasts, and some of them are going to be pessimistic and some of them are going to be optimistic. We live in very uncertain times. If the member looks at the detail of the current account figures, it shows you things that are not unexpected. For instance, the high dollar means there's more New Zealanders going overseas because it's cheaper and less tourists coming here because it's more expensive, and that our exporters have struggled a bit with the 80-cent plus dollar. We're taking the kinds of actions that will take some pressure off that exchange rate in the long run and help correct those imbalances. But if the member has any bright ideas that can have immediate impacts, then we'd be more than happy to look at them.
Point of order,
Point of order, the Honourable David Payne.
I seek leave to table the ANZ research report today entitled Moving into the Danger Zone.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Question number 3.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of
the Leader of the Opposition, David.
Thank you very much to the Prime Minister. Does he stand